The sun was setting over the endless desert, painting the sky in colors of gold and crimson. The wind carried the scent of sand and silence, soft as a whisper, deep as a sign. Sheikh Hameen stood upon his balcony, a figure of calm, of strength, of pride. To the world, he was a symbol of power, a prince, a leader, a man unshaken. But that evening beneath the painted sky, he felt the storm of his own heart rising. The city below shimmered with life, but inside him only silence. That morning he had received a letter, simple, white, sealed with delicate care. He knew the handwriting instantly, and his breath caught in his chest. It was from her, the one he had loved, the one he still loved. Though he never spoke her name, he sat for a long while, just staring, as if the paper itself could speak to him. Finally, he broke the seal. The letter trembled in his hands. Each word struck him like a soft blade, gentle yet cutting deep. She wrote of distance, of regret, of time gone wrong. She spoke of memories too painful to keep. She wrote, I still care, but we cannot return. And with those words, his words grew still. He smiled then, a quiet, broken smile, but it was not the smile the world knew. It was the smile of someone hiding pain, the kind that comes before tears. The palace was vast and shining, filled with gold, filled with laughter. But to Sheikh Hamid, it felt like a cage, a place too large for a lonely heart. He walked through the marble halls slowly, his footsteps echoing like fading memories. The servants bowed, the guards saluted, but none of them could see his sorrow. Each smile he gave was a mask, each word he spoke was hollow, and though the world called him mighty, he felt smaller than he ever had before. He entered his private room at last, a place where no one could see him fall. He sat upon the soft velvet cushions and let his thoughts come undone. The room was silent yet heavy. The air carried the weight of the unsaid. He held the letter in shaking hand and whispered the words to himself again. Each line was a memory reborn, each sentence a ghost of love. He remembered her laughter under the stars, the way her eyes glowed when she dreamed. He remembered her hand in his soft, warm, trembling with life. And he remembered the moment they parted when silence replaced every word. For weeks he had hidden his pain, fought it like a battle he must win. But battles of the heart are never won, only endured, only felt. His eyes grew wet, his breath uneven. He tried to stop the tears, but they came. One fell softly, quietly, and then another and another. Soon he was crying not as a prince, not as a ruler, but as a man stripped of all pride, a heart laid bare before the night. He cried for love lost and never returned, for the warmth that had turned to absence. He cried for the words he never said, and the ones he could not take back. Take back. His tears fell freely, each drop a confession, each sign a prayer, each breath a release. The place lights glowed like stars around him, but they could not touch his darkness. Outside, the city sang with joy, but inside, a single soul wept in silence. He thought of how strange life could be, to have everything and still feel empty, to be admired by thousands yet unseen by the one heart that mattered. He whispered her name into the quiet, a name that once felt like home, and as it left his lips, it felt like both a wound and a healing. He spoke to the night as if it could answer. He told it of his love, his regrets, his mistakes. He asked the wind to carry his apology to wherever her soul might be. Time passed slowly like a river of sorrow. The moon climbed higher, soft and white. His tears did not stop, but they began to change. They no longer burned, they cleansed. They no longer broke him, they freed him. In every tears, he felt something leave. Pain, pride, fear, loneliness. He realized then a truth so simple. It could only come from the heart. Crying is not weakness, it is proof that you feel, and to, to feel is to live. He remembered his father's words, spoken long ago in his youth. A true leader must be strong, his father had said. But now Sheikh Hamid knew strength was not in silence nor in hiding the heart. True strength was in feeling deeply and still standing tall after the storm. He looked around his chamber at the gold, the silk, the treasures of kings. All of them glittered, yet none could fill the space inside him. He realized that love cannot be replaced, not with wealth, not with fame, not with glory. It lives quietly within memory and separate, and when it leaves light and pain together. He thought of her again, her eyes, her laughter, her words. He forgave her in his heart, and in doing so forgave himself. Outside, the desert wind began to sing. It was a low, soothing sound, like the earth itself whispering comfort. He listened, and for the first time, he felt peace begin to bloom. His tears slowed, but they did not vanish. They shimmered in the dim light like jewels upon his face, and in that quiet moment, he understood something precious. Even princes are human, even kings have hearts that bleed. Even the mighty must sometimes fall to remember how to rise. Hours passed, the stars shone bright, and distant Sheikh Hameen stayed by his balcony watching the horizon turn from black to blue. Each star reminded him of a moment, a smile, a touch, a promise made. Each one twinkled, then faded like memories he could not hold forever. But he no longer feared their fading. He knew now that everything, even love, even pain, has its own time, its own purpose. Purpose. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, Sheikh Hameen breathed deeply. The cool night air brushed against his skin, carrying away the last of his sorrow. He whispered softly, "To feel is not to fall. To carry is not to fail." He looked toward the rising sun, golden and warm, and let its light kiss his face. He felt alive again, tender, fragile, real. The pain had not gone, but it had changed shape. It was no longer heavy, but light, like a lesson learned. He stood tall once more, not as a man untouched by sorrow, but as one reborn through it. He realized that love leaves marks, but those marks are what makes us human. He thought of the world waiting beyond the walls, the people, the laughter, the duties, the days ahead. He would face them all not as a mask of strength, but as a soul that had faced its tears. He whispered a final farewell to her, to the letter, to the past. Each word felt lighter than the last. The palace began to wake. Birds sang from garden below. Servants moved quickly through the halls. But Sheikh Hameen remained still, calm and renewed. Watching the sunrise, the desert stretched endlessly before him, a sea of gold beneath a soft blue sky. It was beautiful, vast, eternal, and in that vastness he felt small but peaceful. He smiled a real smile, this time born not from pride but from peace. For the first time in many years, he understood himself. He had learned that tears are not a shame but a kind of prayers, a prayer of heart, a song without words, a bridge between pain and hope. He had cried not to break but to begin again, and now he stood ready to live, to love, to lead, to feel. The sun rose higher, filling the sky with light. Sheikh Hameen whispered softly, "So, this is strength. Strength," he realized, was not in hiding pain, but in embracing it fully, not in denying love, but in letting it teach you, not in being unbroken, but in choosing to heal. And so, as the morning bloomed, the prince who cried in the night became a man reborn in light, the world would see his smile, his confidence, his grace, but only he would know the story behind those eyes, a story of tears that washed away pride, of sorrow that birthed wisdom, of a heart that dared to feel even when it hurt. He turned from the balcony, leaving the desert behind for now. But within him, the peace of the dawn remained. He whispered one last truth to himself, to the wind, to the sky. Even a prince can cry, even a leader can fall, even a strong heart can break and still rise again whole. Please subscribe my channel, like and share my videos.